oh, that market. Oh, it's only $688 a year. All right, I just bought it. It's done.
I'm diving in. I'm diving right in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Balls in Your Face Marketing. I have with me today a woman of my own, she's the female version of me, really. A firecracker. Estie Rand, founder of Rand Consulting. She's an expert in sales and marketing and all kinds of stuff that we always normally talk about on this show.
I say kind of my wording is it's the return of small business, right? So like business used to be small business. You had a couple massive things, companies that built train tracks across the world, things like that. And everyone else ran a little business where they sold to the people that could come into their store or that they could talk to in person, or they were a traveling salesman, right? But business was very personal, right? And it was very much, each individual was in business for themselves. You didn't have these massive companies. And then we hit industrialization, and then everyone works for the man, right? And we are seeing the return of small business in the most incredible way, because now instead of just working with the people that you can physically get to with your body by moving around in your small space or traveling, you can, from your living room, if you need to, work with anyone in the entire world. It's unbelievable. And the ease with which someone can start a business, build a business, grow a business, have a steady, stable, six-figure business, doing something that they love with the flexibility and the lifestyle. This has never happened before. And I think we're just seeing more and more and more of it.
Right. And this is what you're now focused on with your consulting services, is helping companies get to that six-figure point annually.
Yeah. Helping them get to that stable six figures, specifically
services.
Service-based businesses, because they do this like really fun roller coaster thing where like they got good days, bad days, bad months, and they can't rely on it. Some of them don't even know exactly what they're making. I call that the cookie jar business, right? Money comes in, I put it in the cookie jar. I need something to buy, I pull it out of the cookie jar. And if there's money inside at the bottom, I'm doing well. No. Marketing is everything. Marketing is the key that unlocks the door to that stable six figures, because marketing is not advertising, as you know, as I'm sure your listeners know if they've been listening to you. Marketing is, in my opinion, 90% of small business success in the service-based business, right? So many business plans, they touch on marketing for like 3 paragraphs. Then they spend pages and pages on research and industry and team and operations, and it's absolute junk. It gets you nowhere. You finish with something like that and you're like, okay, now what? Where's my money? Right? A marketing business plan is 90% of what you need. You don't need most of those systems operations. When you start, it's just you and 2 assistants. You know, like this is what it is. It's how do you sell it? Who are the people? What's your goal? How are you going to get there? How are you going to get their attention? What are you getting their attention for? What are you actually selling them? People are like, oh, well, I bought these. I don't know. I love it. Can I tell you a funny story? So people reach out to me all the time. And some of my favorite stories are like, can I just be, this is a very straight talk podcast, right?
Absolutely. Yes, it is.
So I call them the hopeful and stupid. I'm not a great match for them because I'm really blunt.
Okay.
So I call people hopeful and stupid. So I get people who ask me, this guy's like, okay, so we need help selling accessories. I'm like, great, who's the audience? He's like, no, I don't know who the audience is. We got this closeout batch of accessories. We got like a crate or I don't know what. So we have like, 10,000 items sitting in our garage, and we want to know who to sell them to. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not actually how it works. Marketing is, ready? Teacher mode. The creation and communication of value of your product or service to your target audience, creation and communication of value of your product or service to your target audience to convince them to buy. Yeah, 4 key points, right? Create, communicate, consumer, which is target, and convince.
Right.
Marketing does all 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you start with a product and then you're like, oh, who wants to buy this? Possibly no one. In my Marketing Magic course, we teach it in that system, right? So you begin by creating, right? What value are you creating for people? Well, what value do you already have? Who are those people? Who are the people you're creating value for? Oh, I don't know, whoever wants to buy it. I'm sorry, when you do that, there may not be anyone to buy it because you've created value for no one but yourself. And here's something I think also about where business is going. And like you say, now we're hitting the, what did you call it? Authenticity.
The
economy?
the
Age of authenticity, right? You can't fake people out the same way you used to. Plus, people can return things way easier.
Yeah.
So they just charge it back and you're
People just
done.
don't have an appetite for it. People don't have an appetite. Like that's, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this with your testing, but I mean, stock images don't work as well as they used to.
No, absolutely not. And Canva doesn't work as well as it used to, which is sad because I loved Canva. But like when you make something on Canva now, everyone's like, oh, that's Canva. I believe in playing the long game. So one of the things I teach when I teach a sales funnel, I also teach a sales pyramid. And then when I was building it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like an hourglass. I'm like, I'm a genius. And then I Google sales hourglass. I'm like, oh, I'm apparently not the first genius. But I made it myself. And then I discovered that other people have also made one. But a sales hourglass, people who only focus on the funnel, you have to constantly be pouring money, energy, attention, time into the top of the funnel to get people at the bottom. If you build a pyramid under it, you turn it into an hourglass where you can kind of flip it over and the sand goes back down the top again, right? And that's what I call a self-sustaining sales cycle, where it feeds itself and you're not constantly funneling money into quote unquote marketing, which is just promotion and advertising, right? Then you get what we call free brand ambassadors, not paid ones. You get what we call viral word of mouth. That also is unpaid for, right? I call it strategic word of mouth or cultivated word of mouth. These are things that you can do on purpose, but it's only if you play the long game.
Yeah, no, exactly. Look, I mean, I think that no matter how you slice it, getting that, there is a huge amount of effort from that awareness stage all the way to that purchase. Why throw the baby out with the bathwater now that you've got them in? Right. Totally. And not, you know, get a return on that investment over time and and this is exactly it is I often say to that, you know, and so many businesses, when I talk to them, it's like, okay, what's the lifetime value? I ask them, right? Usually,
what's the lifetime value of your
average value? Yeah. What's the average value of a sale? And then usually it's like, oh, well, it's complicated because sometimes we got some things that are like $500 and some things that are $3,000. Okay. Well, okay. That's great. Okay. So wouldn't it be great, first of all, if you're mostly selling just the thing that's $3,000 and not selling at $500, right? Like there's one thing in terms of concentrating your efforts on that.
Totally.
You know, but exactly like what? Okay, so what's the lifetime value of it? And they have no idea.
I know. A lot of people don't pay attention to that at all. It's funny because I was working with my PR person yesterday, and like I told you, we were doing this little bit of a refocus. Specifically to help service-based businesses, whereas until now we've been a little more broad. But we found that 80% of our clients are service-based businesses. So we're like, hey, we clearly specialize here. Like drill in. And one thing she said to me is, what's the lifetime value of our ideal customer? But I was able to tell it to her off the bat. Right? And everyone should know that. So I want to give you a great, like if people walk away with just one tip from this, and they'll probably walk away with a ton because this is fun. But if they walk away with one tip, I read this article in Harvard Business Review. It's at least 5 years ago. Okay, maybe it's even more. And it was an article about Velveeta squeezy cheese. I think that's who does it. Who makes squeezy cheese? Is it Velveeta?
Well,
it's like tube cheese, like cheese in a tube.
Oh, in the tube. Okay, maybe that's Velveeta.
Maybe it's Velveeta. I don't remember, but it's this company.
I'm a Canadian. We got Quebec. The monks make that we put in poutine, and if we have poutine somewhere else and it doesn't squeak, we're like, that's not poutine. But go on.
Okay, so yeah, Velveeta squeeze cheese. I just checked it. Okay, so it's Velveeta squeeze cheese, and so they were doing. So I always say, like, you take the big business tools and you just apply them to small business, right? And that's kind of what you have to. You can't work like the big guy. So you take the research that someone like Velveeta and Harvard Business Review does, and then you use it in little business. So what they did was they did research in terms of their customer acquisition costs and, you know, what it cost them and the average customer sale and all of that stuff. And what they found was that lots of people buy their product, but they've got a certain amount of people, like a reasonable percentage, that are obsessed with their product. And they use it on everything, and they eat it straight out of the tube, and they put it on crackers, and they put it on cookies, and they put it on vegetables, they put it on everything. And so what they did as their marketing effort is, instead of trying to get more new customers who maybe will like it, maybe won't, they worked on diving deeper with the people that already purchased from them and showing them how they can buy more of their product and more uses for their product. And I think so many small businesses get lost and they never do this. Thank you for having me.
Balls in your face right now. Balls in your face. Balls in your face. Balls in your face right now.